At exactly 3 a.m. in Brownsville, Brooklyn, a police siren cut through the night. A skinny kid stood frozen in a dark alley, his hands shaking, not from fear of the cops, but from rage. That kid was Mike Tyson. And whether you know it or not, this moment had already decided his future. Because before Mike Tyson became the most feared man in boxing, before the knockouts, the money, the scandals, he was just another broken kid growing up in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America. Brownsville wasn't just rough. It was brutal. Drugs on the corners. Guns in school bags. Violence wasn't something you escaped, it was something you learned. Mike was small, shy, and constantly bullied. Kids stole his lunch. Older boys beat him for fun. But the one thing that saved him were pigeons. Every day, Mike escaped to the rooftops, raising pigeons like family. They were the only things he loved. Until one day, everything snapped. A neighborhood kid grabbed one of Mike's pigeons and ripped its head off in front of him. Something dark woke up inside Mike Tyson that day. He didn't cry. He didn't run. He attacked. That was Mike's first fight. And it was savage. From that moment on, violence became his language. By the age of 11, Mike was stealing. By 12, he was arrested. By 13, he was sent to juvenile detention. Most kids who went in there never came back out the same. Many never came out at all. But inside that cold, unforgiving place, Mike Tyson met a man who would change history. Cus D'Amato. Cus wasn't just a boxing trainer. He was a psychological architect. He looked at Mike and didn't see a criminal. He saw raw destruction waiting to be shaped. Cus took Mike in. Gave him a bed. Gave him discipline. Gave him a purpose. But most importantly, Cus taught Mike one terrifying lesson. Fear is like fire. Control it, and it works for you. Mike trained like a machine. Morning. Night. No excuses. While other kids slept, Mike studied boxing tapes. While others partied, Mike practiced combinations until his hands bled. By 18, Mike Tyson turned professional. And the world wasn't ready. Opponents didn't just lose. They were destroyed. Knockouts in seconds. Fear in their eyes before the bell even rang. Mike wasn't fighting men anymore. He was hunting them. But here's the truth no one tells you. The same rage that made Mike Tyson unstoppable was also quietly pulling him towards something darker. Because when fear controls you, it always demands a price. And Mike Tyson was about to pay it. The crowd was loud. Cameras flashed. History was about to be written. On November 22, 1986, the world watched a 20-year-old kid walk into the ring like an executioner. His name was Mike Tyson. Across from him stood Trevor Berbick, the reigning heavyweight champion of the world. Stronger. Older. More experienced. But none of that mattered. From the first bell, Tyson moved like a predator. His punches weren't wild, they were precise. Calculated. Cruel. In the second round, a left hook sent Berbick crashing to the canvas. He tried to stand. His legs betrayed him. And he fell again. The referee waved it off. Just like that, Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history. At 20 years, 4 months, and 22 days. The kid from Brownsville had conquered the world. Money flooded in. Fame exploded overnight. Everyone wanted a piece of Mike Tyson. And at first, everything went exactly as Cus D'Amato had planned. Mike unified the division. WBC. WBA. IBF. Champions didn't last rounds with him. They barely lasted minutes. Opponents lost before they even threw a punch. They saw fear in the mirror. And it had Mike Tyson's face. But while the world celebrated the monster in the ring, they ignored the boy outside of it. Because Cus D'Amato, the one man who could control Mike's fire, was gone. Cus died in 1985, just before Mike's rise. And without him, Mike was suddenly alone. Surrounded by yes men. Parties. Women. Drugs. Ego. The discipline faded. The hunger changed. Mike wasn't training to survive anymore. He was training to feed the legend. Then came Robin Givens. Their marriage was explosive. Televised interviews. Accusations. Public humiliation. Mike's rage, once locked inside the ring, started leaking into the real world. Arrests. Fights. Self-destruction. And yet, inside the ring, he was still unstoppable. Until February 11, 1990. Tokyo, Japan. Mike Tyson vs. Buster Douglas. Tyson laughed before the fight. Skipped training. Ignored warnings. Douglas didn't. In the 10th round, the impossible happened. Mike Tyson hit the canvas. For the first time in his career, he stayed down. The world froze. The invincible was defeated. The king was exposed. But that loss wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much worse. Because now, Mike Tyson wasn't just angry. He was lost. The cameras were no longer pointed at a boxing ring. They were pointed at a courthouse. By the early 1990s, Mike Tyson wasn't just a former heavyweight champion. He was the most controversial athlete on the planet. The loss to Buster Douglas had shattered the myth of invincibility. But what came next shattered Mike Tyson himself. In 1991, an 18-year-old woman named Desiree Washington accused Mike Tyson of rape after a beauty pageant event in Indianapolis. The world exploded. Some called him a monster. Others called him a target. Everyone had an opinion. The trial became a media circus. Every detail of Mike's life. His childhood. His anger. His relationships. Was dragged into the spotlight. For the first time, Tyson couldn't fight his way out. No knockouts. No bell to save him. Just a jury. In 1992, Mike Tyson was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He would serve 3 years. The youngest heavyweight champion in history. Was now inmate number 614033. Prison stripped Mike of everything. The money slowed. The fame faded. The cheers were replaced by steel doors and concrete walls. At first, he was furious. Violent. Uncontrolled. But prison has a way of forcing reflection. Mike read. He studied. He converted to Islam and took the name Malik Abdul Aziz. For the first time since Cus D'Amato died, Mike was alone with his thoughts. No trainers. No fans. No enemies to punch. Just himself. When he was released in 1995, the world didn't know what to expect. Was the monster back? Or was he broken forever? The answer seemed clear, at first. Mike returned to the ring like a storm. Wins came fast. Knockouts came easy. In 1996, he reclaimed a version of the heavyweight title. The crowd believed again. But something was off. The rage was still there. The discipline was not. And then came July 28, 1997. Las Vegas. Mike Tyson vs. Evander Holyfield 2. A rematch fueled by hate, humiliation, and unfinished business. Holyfield frustrated him. Headbutts. Clinching. Control. Mike snapped. In the 3rd round, he bit Holyfield's ear. Not once. Twice. The fight stopped. Tyson was disqualified. The crowd was stunned. The world was horrified. This wasn't dominance. This was self-destruction on live television. Mike Tyson was banned. Stripped of his license. Mocked. Condemned. The boy from Brownsville who conquered the world had become its most infamous villain. And yet, the story still wasn't over. After the earbite incident, something changed forever. Mike Tyson was no longer feared. He was mocked. Late-night jokes. Cartoons. Headlines that treated him like a punchline instead of a champion. But behind the laughter, Mike Tyson was bleeding money. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Gone. Mansions. Luxury cars. Exotic animals. Entourages that never said no. Mike had earned over $300 million in his career. Yet he didn't understand money. He only understood power. And power was slipping away. Promoters stopped calling. Sponsors disappeared. The crowds weren't cheering anymore. They were waiting for him to fail. Inside the ring, his body slowed. Outside the ring, his life collapsed. Substance abuse returned. Depression followed. In 2003, the unthinkable happened. Mike Tyson, the former heavyweight king, filed for bankruptcy. He was over $23 million in debt. The world that once feared him now pitted him. And Mike hated that more than anything. He kept fighting, not because he was great, but because he had no other way to survive. Losses piled up. His aura vanished. Then, in 2005, Mike Tyson stepped into a ring for the last time. He lost. Not to an opponent, but to exhaustion. After the fight, he admitted, "I don't have it anymore." And just like that, the boxer died. But the man still had a chance. For the first time in his life, Mike Tyson stopped running. He confronted his trauma. His rage. His fear. He spoke openly about abuse, addiction, and regret. The world began to see something new. Not Iron Mike, but human Mike. And strangely enough, that honesty saved him. Mike Tyson didn't disappear. He evolved. After boxing left him broken, bankrupt, and exposed, the world expected silence. Instead, Mike Tyson started talking. Not trash talk. Not threats. Truth. He admitted his fears. His addictions. His failures as a man. For the first time, Mike Tyson wasn't trying to be the strongest person in the room. He was trying to be the most honest. Hollywood noticed. He appeared in films like The Hangover, not as a joke, but as a symbol of survival. People laughed with him now. Not at him. Then came something no one expected. Mike Tyson became a thinker. Through interviews and later his podcast, Hot Boxin' with Mike Tyson, the man once known only for violence started speaking about discipline, trauma, ego, and growth. Fans saw a different Tyson. Older, calmer, reflective. A man who understood that fear controlled his life more than fists ever did. In 2020, Mike shocked the world again. He returned to the ring, not to prove dominance, but to prove healing. No rage. No chaos. Just control. The same hands that once destroyed opponents now showed restraint. And that may have been his greatest victory. Today, Mike Tyson is not remembered only as the youngest heavyweight champion. He is remembered as a warning. And a lesson. Talent without discipline is dangerous. Power without guidance is destructive. But even the most broken lives can rebuild. Mike Tyson didn't win every fight. But in the end, he survived himself.